And then I check. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center in Lower Lake. And today we are so fortunate to have um, Reverend Angelika Schafer with us. She's an ordained interfaith minister, and we're honored, very honored to have you with us this morning. And she's going to begin with the opening prayer. Thank you, Angelika.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara and Heather. Dear sweet soul, you are so beautiful. All versions of you exist already. Imagine the version of you. You could call it true self, source self, the one that is fully aware of the oneness of all things in creation. You see through the eyes of a being in peace, no longer conflicted about anything. What would this true, whole, and complete, source-connected version of you do right now? Take a deep breath. Let that one come in. What would she or he say right now? And what would you be willing to receive from your source-connected self version? The all-wise one, the one who knows all things, and most of all, knows true peace and all that is in your highest good. Perhaps you would be willing to receive a message from this source self version of you. Take a few moments in silence to tune in. And then, if you receive a message, feel free to write it down. If you don't consciously receive a message, just imagine what your higher self might possibly say to you about your life and development. Take your time. And as I am going to sing this healing chant, which carries light codes, you can continue to tune into your most sovereign, divine self version of yourself and its communication with you. This healing chant, when sung with a clear intention, is a sacred frequency that activates light codes and helps to dissolve energetic blocks and illness, awakening divine blueprint, protection, healing for the body, restores balance to body, mind, and soul. Receive the power, love, and grace, always available to us. But we need to focus on it clearly and powerfully. Let this vibration wash over and through you. Shanti Aleya Om. Om Saraya Lumina 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 Shanti Aleya Om. Shanti Aleya Om. Shanti Aleya Om.
Thank you. Beautiful. I have chills as usual when you sing. So beautiful. I would like to give you a reminder that our newsletter for November goes out on November the 1st, and Patricia is going to be at church on November the 2nd. So, yes, church will be open on November the 2nd. Um, and I then would like to continue and read the invocation affirmation for our church, and this is who we are. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Then there is only one presence and one power active in Unity, Clear Lake Center, God the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence and one power active in our world, God the good, omnipotent. And I'll continue with the 5 basic ideas of unity. First, God is absolute good, everywhere present. Human beings have a spark of divine spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within, therefore, they are inherently good. And human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Fourth, prayer is the process that affirms our connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. And finally, knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, are not enough. A person must live the truth that he or she knows. And I know all of this is leading to the talk that Angelika is giving us in the fast moving river. Wow. Thank you, Angelika.
Thank you, Barbara. That was beautiful. I'm so glad you shared these things. Very beautiful. So, the sound was okay while I was singing? Was okay. So, there's a song by Lisa Lerb I want to start with because it's moving right into the talk pretty good. And the message is really fun and very true. And it speaks to the mindset that we humans need to overcome. So it's called Another Day. Some of the days are not enough. Some of the days can take a while. Some of the days you lose, you fall, you slip, you take a hit, but some of the days can make you smile. But everybody knows that life can change like the weather, and everybody wants the things they know to stay the same. But we're not gonna last forever, and nothing's ever meant to stay. But while we're on this ride together, let's do it for another day. Some of the times you know the way. Some of the times you want to quit. Sometimes you bend, you twist, you take a swing. Sometimes you miss, but most of the time it's worth it. And everybody knows that life can change like the weather, and everybody wants the things they know to stay the same. But we're not gonna last forever, and nothing's ever meant to stay. But while we're on this ride together, let's do it for another day. Another day. Another day. Another beautiful day. Another day. So this brings me to the message for today, and it is titled "In the Fast Moving River," because in my age group, the speed of which life has changed, it's absolutely astounding. When we grew up with one landline in the hallway of the house, and telephone booths, and no TV when I was a child. That came when I was, I think, 8. It was black and white, and there was one channel. So just imagine, what a dinosaur, right? So, but I actually like technology for the purpose of making, things easier and being able to share. So I figured all this technology out with sound and everything. I ride with the change. And I used to be terrified because of my background from being raised by World War II parents in Germany. I used to be so terrified of loss of any kind. And I held a very deep, deep grief that came from my dad and my mom. It was sort of an inherited pattern. But I figured out, the beautiful thing about that is that, hold on, I'm going to have to change the view. Somehow Barbara is pinned. So, okay. So what that did for me is I went on a very passionate search to find the answer to the human condition. I just always sensed there was something not right here, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but I was looking for solutions. And it was a very zigzag path through the wilderness. I left Germany when I was 24 and a half, moved to Alaska, to the wilderness. I just wanted to get far away from the crowds and the places, the energy that I grew up with in Germany, very heavy, like Eckhart Tolle says, there's a heavy pain body there. But in Alaska, I had some very visionary dreams, and I realized that the patterns were still within me. They didn't just leave because I left the country and moved halfway around the world. So I kept searching for other solutions, and of course, the search was a lot outside. What would work, what would make me happy, what would make me fulfilled. But through further losses and shocks in life, I had to keep digging deeper. And I realized that one of the hardest things for us humans is because we have this separated perspective, and we've been, I think, as a species, really traumatized, and we've been held sort of in a small, helpless place. Who knows what the forces are that have, helped with that, or whether we created that ourselves to forget and then to learn to remember. I really don't know, but it's pointing to there is something here that has kept us small and afraid. So, it's really about facing the fears and facing the patterns that are holding us in this old version of ourselves. That's why the opening prayer was about connecting with our true version, with our alive, awake, God-connected, source-connected version. And we need to practice it because the momentum of the old patterns are so strong. They really have a grip on our psyche. So I practice a lot of different things. I love to do breath work, at least 10 minutes a day. And of course, contemplation, meditation, journaling. But also walking in nature, connecting with nature and and animals and children. And, just lately, instead of being so driven and being on this mission to save the world, I let go of that. I just jumped into the river and I said, okay, river, what do you want from me the most? What would serve the best? And the answer was actually surprising. It was, let yourself be joyful and playful and relax and release any of the urgency even. It seems like things are urgent right now on earth, but I believe if our heart and mind is more relaxed and more joyful, we can ride this fast-moving river. Because what is changing so fast is the outer world, and our inner world is always in a still point when we focus on the source connection. So that little meditation I did in the beginning, I highly recommend doing that every single day to really consciously connect to our source self. You can call it whatever, our true self, our divine self, our self-actualized. That version exists already. And as we connect with that divine spark within us, it grows because everything we focus on grows. We know that, right? And so to focus on that is right now the most important thing. What many people are doing is they're in the river, but they're trying to hold on to the branches on the shore because they're afraid of all these changes, and they're desperate, and they're struggling. And we have a river nearby called the Yuba River, and many people drown every year in it in the spring when the current is still pretty high. But I learned that when the river sucks you in, you kind of relax and you just let it spit you back out. So it's really about relaxing in this wild, turbulent time. We're kind of in between the ages. So the old energies on Earth are really breaking down. All the structures, we're seeing evidence of that everywhere. But the more people resist and are going into fear, the more they contribute to that being a chaotic process. It doesn't have to be. If we all just as humanity focused on our source connected self, oh my gosh, things would shift very quickly into a much higher state of consciousness. But here is this huge resistance to flowing with the river. So what I'm practicing, and I'm not perfect at it by any means, but what I'm practicing is to not hold on to the old, not hold on to the familiar, not hold on to anything that I'm attached to even, but to just be willing to go to new territory, to let the river take me. And sometimes it flows more calm, and sometimes it goes over a waterfall, and it's very scary. But I found as I go with it, instead of like trying to swim against it, you lose all your energy. If you swim against this current, you lose your energy. It's impossible to do that right now. So going with the current, and the change is really breakneck speed right now. Just in the last few months, every week, every day, it's shifting more and more into who knows what. But I really want to, if we find ourselves in this chaos phase between what we have known and in the past and this new creation that is not yet manifested, what I urge everyone to do, even though it's a scary place to be, I urge you to connect with your sovereignty, to connect with things that bring you joy, that nurture you, that strengthen you, that strengthen your spirit. It's not selfish. You can let go of that old message. Taking care of you and doing what is joyful for you is not at all selfish, not even in a bit. So cultivating your joy, cultivating relaxation, cultivating deliberate connection. And another piece of this is to set clear intentions. Even when you sleep, like right before you fall asleep, there is a time when the mind changes its brainwave frequency, and that's the best time to set an intention. So you can, for example, just say, higher self, my divine, whatever you call it, please help me while I am sleeping to release old patterns that no longer serve me, that are holding me back. And please do it as efficiently and as quickly as possible, but with ease. So the higher self is very polite. It doesn't force anything on us, and it needs to be asked. So that's why, our speech, our words, our thoughts, our emotional energy is so powerful. We have no idea how much power we have because we've been talked out of it, really, basically by our upbringing, by our teachers, by our parents, by our society. We were not taught to claim the power in a good way, not to control and manipulate, but to claim it in a really good, healthy way that serves the whole. And so I'm experimenting with that. I just keep increasing the awareness of that inner power when I tune into that higher self version. And what you can ask the questions, what would that look like? What would my higher self version look like? Or what would it do right now? Like, say you're having a stressful situation or something difficult, just say, what would my higher self do right now? So that is so powerful when you set these intentions and make this deliberate connection. And we can actually do that right now together. Let's make a name for the higher self, for the self-actualized self. So this is a really beautiful, beautiful, helpful thing. So what I would suggest is make it your name, and then add an adjective or a description, a descriptive term that is according to your highest value. Like if you value courage, you could say courageous Barbara, or you could say liberated Bill, or you could say magnificent Heather, something like that. But I have mine a little shorter because my name is kind of long, Angelika. So I made mine Angel One. And it reminds me of, because I feel like I'm a freedom fighter, I'm like really rooting for humanity's freedom, for my own freedom. And what always bothered me the most in my life, in my early life, and even still now it triggers me, is when people argue for their limitations. I just want to jump out of my skin when they do that. And it's like, come on, I want to rattle them. Come on, you are free. You can go beyond that. But everybody has to come to it in their own time. I realized I can't push people. I used to be very pushy, and I'm calming down on that issue as well. Just letting people more leading by inspiration. When people see the change in me, they are much more inspired, and they might ask a question. Well, what did you do? And they'll find their own way. But I can share some things that are maybe universally valuable. So let's take a moment to tune in and just ask yourself, what is your higher self name? What would you give your higher self? What your divine connected self? That version of you that's already whole and complete and has gone through the whole earth and whatever other journeys. I gave you a few examples. So for me, it's Angel One, and it almost reminds me of something in Star Trek. I'm riding this beautiful spaceship, and I'm fighting for the freedom of the universe. Anyway, what would Angel One do in this situation? What would she say? What would she think? What would she feel? What would her counsel be to this version of me that is still maybe sometimes in fear or in stress or whatever, still in the old programs at times? So I give you just a minute to contemplate on that. Just have fun with it. Make up a really fun name, and you can change it if you come up with a better one. And then there is another name I want to suggest. So we all have a voice inside of us that is very doubting. We have the doubter and the saboteur and the critic and the bully. We have all those. That can be just all clumped into one voice. And let's put that outside of us, like into one of those little speech bubbles, like in a cartoon. So because, see, here's the difference. The source self, the true actualized self, lives inside of us, and it's connected to the all that is, to the I am. But that little doubting voice, that is not who we are. Imagine it's been just stuff that we picked up that we thought was true, and it's been programmed into us and hammered into us by repetition, so we believed it, right? But it isn't who we are. So let's put that outside into that little bubble. So the saboteur voice speaks to us from a little bubble. So anytime you're doubting, don't say I. Don't say I. Just give it a name. So the teacher that I learned this from, David Strickle, he calls his Claude. And then I have another friend who calls his Harold. But not that there is any judgment in these names, but I call mine Pecky. First, I chose Tartar because tartar is sticky. And then I changed to Pecky. I thought that was more cute, and then it's not so serious, Pecky is like a little woodpecker. It pecks on you. It tries to peck, 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 peck. It irritates. It's trying to rile you up, So anyway, Pecky. Okay, so all you have to do is be aware of your Pecky and what it's saying, and give it a name, your name of your liking. Make it funny. It's the one that sabotages. It is not you. So when you give it a name and you remember Angelika talking about a little speech bubble in a cartoon, you put it right in its place. It's outside of you. You can say, hey, Pecky, I appreciate your opinions, but how about you relax? We don't need that right now. And then you go to inside. You connect with your high heart. Take a deep breath or several deep breaths in through the nose. Exhale with a sigh, and you immediately ask your Angel One, Magnificent Barbara, Courageous Bill, Wonderful Heather, whatever it is, to come in. And what would she do? What would you do? What would you say? How would you feel? How would you act? How would you speak? So these are some really beautiful practical tools. And the tool that I mentioned earlier, to set the intention as you fall asleep, to ask your higher self to work with you in your sleep. And you can ask your guides, your team, whatever your A team is, your above team, your everywhere team, the team that is really, that's got your back. It's not outside of us. It's also a part of us. But we humans still kind of separate things. So however it helps you to visualize having this divine help, and you have to ask and invite it, but ask your higher self to only bring in the highest, what is in your highest good, the highest quality guidance. Because there can be many imposters too, just like here on earth. It's all like that in other realms as well. So ask for the highest, the purest, the most true guidance, and ask that the old patterns be removed. That they be removed during your sleep, that you're willing to let them go. They're in your cellular memory, in your DNA. Just let your higher self work with you to release them. And that's a very legitimate request. That is, if you want to, if you really want that. And you could think of specific ones. You could say, oh, like Barbara, you could say, oh, I fret or I worry about things, or I'm anxious or I'm concerned about certain things. Help me to release that pattern. I don't need it anymore. I'm a sovereign, divine, strong, incredible being with incredible power. I don't need to play small anymore. So, and then when you wake up, do the same thing. Set the intention for your day. I am a creator of my reality. I choose to tune into my source self. I choose to let that guide my day. I choose to do things that are benevolent, beneficial for myself, nurturing for myself, joyful and fulfilling for myself, and therefore they are fulfilling for everybody else. And that is the way. So you don't hit social media, before you go to sleep, or when you first wake up. You don't look at your emails. You don't look at your texts. You take time to tune in with yourself, to set your own intentions, to be true to yourself, to claim your own power, to claim your own vibration. The world is trying to get our attention. Now it's even, I don't know, exponentially increased through this AI bubble. But hey, I just like the true guidance from my divine. So, and then I write a lot, I journal a lot, and I've recently made some very big, clear statements that are very powerful to the universe, and that states my intention. And I've been experimenting with focusing on shifting my consciousness in very profound ways. And I've had this orientation my whole life, but lately things are very accelerated, and I used to not have the right tools. I was looking for the right tools. Now I have some fantastic tools, and I am just so, so, so grateful. That's another trick. We've talked about gratitude in the past, but when you wake up, you can immediately think of all the things you're grateful for in your life. There is one doctor that gives YouTube lectures, and he always talks about vitamin G and all the health benefits of it. And then he reveals at the end, vitamin G is gratitude. It's really cute. So even doctors are coming on to it. So here is a statement that I made for myself, but I'm only doing that, not that you should do that same one, but make up your own. This is just an example, so you know what I'm talking about. I forgive myself completely for everything throughout all time, space, dimensions, knowing now that this wonderful awakening wasn't possible until now. I thank everyone who has traveled this life path with me for their tolerance, patience, kindness, assistance, and love. I live in unshakable trust that Source is working in and through me, and in and through my life, through this character called Angelika, in the most brilliant, efficient, beneficial, and magical ways that delight her heart and the whole universe. Why not? Might as well think big. So that's one example. So another statement is for me, Angel 1, my true fully realized source connected, source aware self, is not disturbed by any emotions flowing through, nor by any outer circumstances. Fully source embodied, she walks sovereign and unafraid, with a big inner smile, through the physical world, while firmly anchored in the unchangeable, eternal state of being. She effortlessly detunes and clears anything that disturbs the earth character, that tiny human focus which had been programmed and caught in a web of distortions. She is free. She rests while she serves and lives this life to completion. Her purpose is to cultivate and share her state of being and consciousness, to help anchor into the earth grid this new vibration of sovereignty and freedom, inner joy and gratitude. Her body breathes deeply and with ease. It is relaxed, strong, and vibrant. So I would really, really urge everyone to write at least once a day in a journal or online. You can do it in a Word document, to write what is the highest vision that you could imagine for yourself and how that would express in your life. Just create something new. The thing that AI cannot do is create something new, because AI is not source connected, it's not God connected. It needs us to input, right? So AI can put together everything from everywhere, has incredible speed and capacity and data, and it's just using pieces and bits and pieces and parts from everything that's already been known and created and puts it together in a new way. But it's not original, it's not new. Only the human soul can create new with the divine. We can create a whole new reality outside of this bubble. And that's what we want to focus on. So go big, go into fantasy. It doesn't matter. Imagination is great. Create your own world, how it would turn you on, how it would make you joyful and relaxed and peaceful. What kind of a world would you like? Create it, describe it. I believe that any of those exercises they're not futile fantasy, but they're actually connecting us with our creative capacity and with our purposeful intention to draw a different reality than what we have right now. Right now we're living almost like in this matrix, which is a collective unconscious. It's all the programs that are inside out, upside down, that are detrimental to human health and well-being. And we've been programmed and grew up in that. So it's a huge undertaking to free ourselves from that. It's, human beings, we are so courageous. It's unbelievable. We are so courageous because we have been so compromised and so traumatized. And who knows why? I mean, there's many theories out there, that some other beings, compromised our DNA or used us for their purposes, but whatever, I'm not saying either way. But I do know that this system is trying to keep itself going. The system of control and this web of manipulation and programming and sucking our energy. But it can only do that if we consent. So I do not consent. I am a free, sovereign, divine being. I do not consent to give into the chaos, to give into clickbait, to give into all the false representations, the mirror image of the divine, because this is it's like an imitation of the real world. It's not the real world, but it's using the ingredients of the real world, and it's imitating. It's a mirror image. It's not. That's why it can't satisfy. So the world, the way it is right now, with all of these chaotic energies, it cannot satisfy. And I myself, I'm done playing in the sandbox. What I mean by that is the toys of the world, they just don't interest me, like the big mansion or the boat or the private jet, or even a great new, romantic relationship. It just doesn't interest me. nothing outside interests me. My needs are met. I have a beautiful life. I live on a property, wilderness, which is, my heart loves to be in the wilderness. I can't even see any neighbors. I have an outdoor toilet, an outhouse. I love that. It's a composting toilet. I have a shower inside and a bathtub, but I just live in a straw bale cottage, off the grid, only solar power. And I love this life. I love this lifestyle. We have a garden. I live with a friend, and we both run this property. It's a lot of work, but we do well together. We're very harmoniously running this property together. We're like brother and sister family. So I have somehow manifested my ideal life on earth. And yet I realize that these things, they support me. They support my real purpose. And the real purpose was to come to the place and the space that I've just shared with you, that state of being. That, and I'm not saying that I am always high or always up there. There are things that, bring some sadness or some, maybe distress temporarily. But, and it's not even realistic to think that we can always be happy or high. That's not realistic, because this realm has polarity. It has all the opposites. But what we can do is, when we are down, not to stay down. We can deliberately raise our frequency. And as we practice that and get good at it, we can actually have so much more joy and more confidence that we are really at a point of power. We're not helpless little humans. And so there is a book I've been working with that has helped me a lot lately, and I want to share it with you in case you're interested. It's called the Taya Practice, and it's TYA, Trust Your Abundance. It stands for Trust Your Abundance. And the abundance means abundance on every level, not just, material abundance, but it's abundance of the heart, abundance of joy, abundance of gratitude, abundance of inner inspiration, fulfillment, all those good things. And so it's called the Taya Practice, TYA, the Taya Practice. It's very, very wonderful material, and it helps me in ways of where I no longer make anything wrong. I don't judge. I don't judge what seems to be wrong with myself or with the world. I just realize it's part of that polarity. So in this cycle, in these loops here on Earth, everything manifests, it gets created, and then it sustains itself for a while, and then it gets destroyed or changed to make room for a new creation. And that's just the game we play here. We play in polarity, in the opposites. To make peace with that is another aspect of being in that fast-moving river. That's where you just surrender to the way that it is here, and you learn to play the game well. You learn to play it with more skillfulness, with more joy, and you have less fear in your life. You have less distress. And it's, what it is, and I've had these teachings for decades, it's all the should not be. It's all the resistance that to what is that creates suffering. And I knew that intellectually. I knew it in my head, but I still had this emotional pattern of, as soon as something was like painful or unpleasant, I would, no, no, dig in my heels. But it's the resistance. And it doesn't mean that we couldn't change something for the better when we can act, and do something to make something better. Of course we do. But the inner attitude is to allow all things to be and see it through the eyes of Source. Because Source has split itself into all these infinite possibilities of itself. And it's just looking. It's just looking at, what's the perspective of being a murderer? What's the perspective of being a saint? What's the perspective of being, Barbara? What's the perspective of being Bill or Heather or Angelika? It's just looking. It does not have a problem because it is all things. It's just split itself into different viewpoints. And then, if the different viewpoints that we are quit arguing, like, the blind people touching the elephant in different places, they all have a different texture. One touches the ear, it's floppy and thin. The other one touches the tusk, which is hard and smooth. The other one touches a leg, which is like a tree trunk. The other one touches the tail, which is like a bundle of, hairs. And then they argue. And each one is right and each one doesn't have the whole picture. So there is really no right or wrong in this life. There just isn't. But we resist so much, and that's such a waste of energy. So let everyone have their own perspective. We're learning, we're looking, and we see it through the eyes of Source. Then we live in peace. So I want to end with, well, even in the Bible it says that seek you first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. So in a way, when we make Source, God, the divine, within our being, the most important thing, everything else just comes and flows in the best way possible. And I want to end with a poem that I wrote many, many years ago, but it's only really now that I'm more embodying this poem. And there is a lot, it's very short, but there is a lot of wisdom in it. I call it The Sacred Wave. I am riding such a sacred wave that I am letting go of the surfboard. The ocean knows what the wave needs to crash into shore, spend all its energy, and return again as water. So what this poem speaks to is the wave is like the separate identity. We feel like we're a separate thing, separate from the ocean of consciousness, from the all that is. And we just keep running against the shore, crashing and spending all our energy. And eventually, when we spend our energy, we come back to the ocean just as water, no longer as that separate wave. So when we focus on the waves, on the surface of the sea, the ups and the downs, and we identify completely with that, we get very seasick all the time. But if we go deep into the ocean, where the ocean is always still and at peace, and we find Source consciousness there, in the stillness, underneath the surface waves. So that is the closing of my talk, and I will go into a chant, doing the healing chant again that I sang earlier. And then The River is Flowing, which was written by Sun Bear of the Chippewa tribe in 1926. He lived from 1926 to 1992, and I made some additional verses, but anyway, it's a beautiful native offering. Om Saraya Lumina Shanti Aleya 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 Sadaya Lumina Shanti Aleya Om. Shanti Aleya Om. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me back to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing back to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me back to the sea. Back to the sea. Back to the sea.
And okay, so I guess we can unmute